Welcome, welcome to the Starch Lady. It is the 16th of June. It's Diane Rowland's birthday. Yay! It's Samantha's birthday. She should be here any second. And we'll have to pause and sing happy birthday or something. My birthday's on Friday. So there's lots of birthdays going on in the month of June. So we're just really, really excited. We're going to do things a little different today rather than starting by going through each of us and talking about our week and recipes and sharing what we're having for meal and stuff today. We are going to start with our guest speakers. And our guest speakers are right there. Well, on my screen, they're right there. We have Esther and Ben Loveridge. And I am just, am I saying that correctly? I was saying Loveridge, and then I was saying Loveridge, and I go, well, at least you can call him Lover any time of the year.
Yeah, I think I say Loveridge. I think, how do you say it?
Loveridge.
Loveridge, yeah. It's
Loveridge.
2 syllables. Yeah.
It's a very unique name, and so we're just thrilled to death to have her here. Tell me when you want me to screen share, and I'll pull up some of those images of the that you sent to me, and we will show them. If you want to show them first or after you get started, just tell me when.
Your call. Anytime's fine.
All right. Why don't you introduce yourself first? And because we're looking at you svelte, thin, trim people here, and they're going to flip when I show them your before pictures. So yeah. So go ahead and give us a little bit about your story, and then let's take a look at those pictures.
All right. Well, my name's Esther Lebeck, and my journey began, well, when I was born, of course, but I wasn't really weight heavy as a child, and probably not even through junior high school. Maybe high school, I put on some weight. I went to a boarding school, and of course, you know, we thought they were giving us all the starches, right, at that time, but it was the candy bars I ate at night and the extra ice cream I ate nearly every day that put on some weight. But anyway, jump ahead. I'm now 77. When I was 72 and a half, we were in Ireland and had a wonderful time walking all over that beautiful island. But by the time the tour was over, my knees and feet hurt so bad. I just could hardly walk to the gate. In fact, in defiance, I almost wanted to sit down there in the middle of the airport and wait for Ben to come back and find me, because I didn't think I could take another walk, another step. But I did, and I made it to the gate, and we came home, and I knew I had to do something, because this was in May of 2016, and in September, we had another trip planned to China, and it was going to be a walking tour too. So when I saw my doctor, he said, well, I could give you cortisone shots in your knees, or you could continue taking your pain medications, or I could refer you to orthopedics for possible knee replacements. And at that time, the condition was almost bone on bone. Well, I didn't like any of those choices. And especially when he added, but before I could refer you to orthopedics, you'd have to lose 70 pounds first. And that was like a death sentence, because my highest was 282. And then at that summer, I was 257. Well, if you take off 70, that would put me below 200. And I had decided that 200 was my goal. And so here now he was asking me to go even below what I thought was reasonable. But I do believe in divine order. And just at that time, my girlfriend was doing some research on how to prevent diabetes, because that was her issue. And in her research, she came across Dr. McDougall's Maximum Weight Loss book. And knowing my personality and how I can stick to something when I decide to do it, she knew that that would be the one that would take the weight off the fastest, which in turn would keep me motivated. So I read that book, and as I jokingly said, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm going to follow that sucker, and if it works, I'll give him all the credit. And that's basically my story. So at first, Ben said, oh, I could never eat like you. And I said, okay. But the good thing in our relationship was that he was the cook in the family. So he could continue making his own food without feeling like he was in jeopardy. And then I could just do my own food as to what I needed to eat. So that really was a big help. And then I did say, well, in the meantime, can you support me by not bringing any sweets into the house? And he said, yes, he would do that. So he kept the sweets out in the freezer in the garage, and it just didn't bother me having them out there. And so, but about, oh, I guess about a year later, maybe 9 months later, Ben, he can tell his story, but how he came on board. You want to tell, Ben?
Sure. We have been on so many diets throughout our life that I thought when Esther started this one, I thought, well, here's just another diet that we're going to do. We'll lose some weight and then we'll go off of it and we'll gain right back to where we were. So anyway, so I wasn't going to buy into it this time. But over the course of time, hearing all the information that was coming into the house, she got really enthused in this because she started losing a lot of weight. And so I decided that when the meat was gone in the freezer, I'd give up meat just to try it. And then we always had holidays with our family. And after Easter one time, we had, butter and cream and stuff for the kids and stuff, because I thought that's how you have Easter. And I decided, well, when that butter's gone, I think I'll just give up dairy. And at that time, I had gotten down to about 230, and I'd stayed about 230 for quite a while. And the thing is then I wasn't even thinking about going on a diet. So I was just going to give up these things because she doesn't eat meat, dairy, or oil. And I thought, well, I could do that. So I tried it. And after, well, I would say within about 6 or 8 months, I had lost down to about 160. The weight just fell off. I never tried to count calories. I don't eat like Esther still. I try to make she eats very simple. I try to make things taste like it used to without using meat, dairy, and oil. And that's the difference in the way we do. I still cook my own meals. Esther does do batch cooking. She always has oatmeal, potatoes, rice, beans, and sweet potatoes, all made up all the time so that I can jockey the stuff around and make whatever I want. But it's not exactly how she eats. She eats very simple. It works for her and it's worked for me. Yeah. And I feel great. I'm not on any real medication. Never have been really, and Esther's off a lot of medication. So yeah. All my numbers are good.
For a long time, we had the rule that I was going to cook the way that I needed to eat. And if they wanted meat, they had to cook it themselves, And my husband was a really big meat eater. Well, when his blood sugar got up to like 376 in December, that's like coma level. He decided to pinky promise with me that starting January 1st, that he would try it my way. And I told him what that would entail and everything. And we made a little pinky promise pact that if we went out to dinner, he could pretty much have whatever he wanted, but we just couldn't bring it in the house. And I can't remember if it was later that day or the 2nd of January, but I heard all of this thump, thump, thump going on in the kitchen. And I thought, what is he doing? And he was putting all of the meat and cheese in the freezer and just putting it away. And then that ended up going from the freezer in the kitchen. It got picked up at one point and hauled out to the bottom carriage behind our stand-up freezer. The bottom shelf has like a cage in front of it. It's like a jail. And all of that stuff is in jail now. And so it's just, we don't even have it in the house. And it's been amazing. I think the most non-compliant thing that we have is he will buy the plant-based crumbles, that you get in the freezer section, and they're usually soy or pea protein based or something like that. And once in a while, he'll sprinkle some of that into a dish that we're making or something. But for the most part, we batch too. We have the potatoes, the sweet potatoes. Sometimes I do a batch of oatmeal. Sometimes we'll have rice. I've even learned how to cook pasta slightly undercooked, and then you put it in cold water in a bowl in the fridge, and it keeps there as well. So we can have the whole grain pastas, the lentil pastas or the chickpea pasta or something like that. And so that's been a really, really big help, not having the food in the house. You mentioned earlier, I was taking notes about hiding the sweets. And I think one of the biggest shocks that I have experienced after a lifetime of sweets addiction is that since eating this way, I don't have the sweet cravings.
No.
That just been phenomenal that, you know, I just don't get that craving. And we used to be a family that every single night we had a bowl of ice cream, and that meant the box was cut in thirds, depending on if there was 3 people in the house or 4. When we had, you know, 9 teenagers at home, that sucker got cut in half and in, you know, 9 pieces. But the less people in the house, the bigger the ice cream bowls got, you know, and that usually had, you know, marshmallows and nuts and chocolate syrup on it, like we were trying to make our own Rocky Road or something. We don't even have that in the house now. Now we do nice cream with the frozen bananas and berries. And my husband loved banana ice cream anyway, so we can just even do just strain, you know, just blended, you know, bananas. But we don't crave that. And that's shocking to me, with as many years and dollars that we spent on sweets. And we just don't have it. We just don't. So I want to show everybody the pictures, because, you know, you've gotten to see Esther and Ben in their svelte state. So let me show you on the screen share here how amazing this transformation has been for them. If we go over here, I've got an entire Esther Lebeck folder going on here. But if you saw the intro that I had on the group page, you can see this particular before and after picture we had. This is them before, and this is them now. I mean, look at the difference. You can just see the health radiating there from them. I mean, look at the glow, you know. You know, they've still got their high cheekbones. Their facial structure didn't change, but the weight around it has changed dramatically. I remember coming back from the Bahamas one time, and my older daughter had gone with us, and she had lost a lot of weight, and she was so much thinner than her passport that the passport guard was looking at the passport and looking at her and looking at the passport and looking at her. He says, "Okay, you can go." And he says, and she says, "Oh, you recognize me now?" And he says, "The ears and the nose never change." The ears and the nose never change. I thought that was unique. So let's go to another one here. This is when she was featured down here in the Women's World magazine from size 26 to 6, and she was 75 at the time. And then this is, I think, another version of that time before. It looks like you're in Japan, or it looks like Japan.
On a cruise ship.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then this is the inside story. She's lost 130 pounds. What is the total overall weight? You've lost 130. Ben, how much have you lost?
Well, since I was on this diet, about 70.
So you're looking at about a 200-pound loss between the two.
Wait,
Yeah.
but before.
But that's when I started this diet. At one time, I weighed 325.
Okay, so
you know, but that was before.
That closer to this size here?
Yeah.
No, probably was around 250, 260 there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So as I go over here, I'm trying not to bounce this thing here. Oh, this looks like when you're in Asia as well.
Right.
Let food be thy medicine, before and after. Look at your little selves there. Your fruit trays are bigger than you are.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so excited about wanting to be able to do more traveling stuff. We lived in Japan for 3 years with the military and loved every breathing second of it. I'd go back in a heartbeat. This was one of the pictures you sent me. No guilt, only learning. I like that. Is that another book cover that you have?
No, it's just a saying I say a lot. Okay. So many times people feel guilty about how they've eaten in the past. I think yesterday's gone. Today's a new day. Today's all there is. So go forward.
Just learning something. Cauliflower is one of my favorite foods to play with, though, because you can shred that up and put it in oatmeal and you don't even know it's there. We turn it into cheese sauce, you know, and one of my favorite people is joining the group right now. So you can shred up the cauliflower and put it in all kinds of things. One of our latest quote cheese sauce obsessions is the cauliflower, and we use the nutritional yeast, garlic powder, onion powder, and we cook it on the stove with some cornstarch. We blend it, then put it on the stove, and it actually is stretchy like mozzarella cheese, and it makes a fantastic cheese sauce for like over vegetables or potatoes or, a gluten-free pasta or something like that. So this is you, the two of you. Where's this at?
India, Taj Mahal.
Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is that the Taj Mahal? But look at those slick, sexy shoulders there. So this is amazing. This looks like another cruise. But
Yeah.
to see the 200 plus pounds lost between the two of you. Hi, Ra. I said my favorite person is joining the group. Yeah, you got a little bit of a delay. If Ra, if you can mute your camera there, hit your little mute button. We'll visit with you in just a minute.
I don't know how to do any of that. Can you see me or hear me?
Yeah, I think I might. I think I can mute you yourself. There. I muted you now manually, and then I'll ask you to unmute later. So I think we can do that in a minute. So, but this sweet couple, the Loveridges are on with us today, Ben and Esther, and they've lost over 200 pounds combined just eating this way since they started eating this way, and have reversed all kinds of conditions of health that they're going to talk more about here in a minute. And she's a star McDougler with the McDougall program, and she's written a book. You'll see here in a minute. I think I have it up here. This is another magazine where they did a what'd you call this? A special edition, and they featured her again, going from her 130-pound weight loss and the inside article and things like that. That's just such an honor to be able to do that. How did you even get in that magazine?
Well, there was someone on Facebook who was inquiring. She was working with Dr. Neil Bernard about diabetes, and she asked the question, is there anyone here who was over 70 and has lost more than 100 pounds eating this way? And so I responded to that, and then the magazine contacted me, and the rest is history. And then that was 2 years ago. And then this year they wanted to do a special edition. So instead of it being like a weekly magazine, it's going to be out it's supposed to still be out until July. But it's kind of hard to find it because it's $12.95 and it's almost 100 pages, but it's a special edition they put together.
Oh, so it's out on the rack now. I could go find it, you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so the front cover of it looks like this?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So everybody take note that if you'd like to get a copy of the magazine, read the full article. It's in this Women's World Magazine special edition.
Yeah. It's on Amazon too.
On Amazon. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. All right. I will look for that. Let's see what else we got here. So this I snipped off of one of the other chats you were doing. And this one looks like this might have been your peak height there for your weight, right, Ben? Is that when you were?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest I ever was.
Yeah, so that's amazing. And then to have you start this journey, you didn't even start it until you were what, 73? And
Yeah, I guess I was about 72 or 3. Yeah.
He's younger.
Okay, yeah. And so that's just amazing. I just really wanted to be able to share that with people. Let me see if I've got any more than that. Like that was the last one there on the shares. But tell us a little bit more about your health journey. What has this done for your overall health? Medications you've been able to skip and things like that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I had more medications than Ben, so I'll take the lead in that. But it was my knees that brought me to my knees. And so we got that taken care of. But yes, I had diverticulitis, I had GERD, I had constipation, I had sleep apnea, I was pre-diabetic, I was on statins. The medications I was on was sleeping medications, pain medications, statins, and thyroid, levothyroxine for my low thyroid, and there's something else. But anyway, I didn't think I was sick. I just thought all that was kind of normal. I knew I was heavy, actually morbidly obese, and I hated that title. But yeah, I just didn't think I was sick, and until all of these conditions started going away. No more constipation, no more all of those things. And even the surprising thing is I started this diet in July of 2016. And about 3 months later, I went to my doctor who was following my eyes for a condition called macular pucker. And in December, he said, okay, he said, now your eyes are to a situation where we could refer you to surgery. And I kind of sheepishly said, well, you know what? I just started changing my diet about 3 months ago. And for some reason, I think it's going to affect my eyes too. I said, is there any necessity to go have surgery right away? And he said, no. He said, why don't you make an appointment and come back in 6 months? So in 6 months, I went back and he checked my vision and he said, your eyesight is better. It's improved. He said, come back in another 6 months. I went back another 6 months. My eyesight improved. I went back another 6 months. My eyesight improved until finally, I think it was December of 2019. I said, should I still be wearing my glasses to protect my eyes, to keep them from getting worse? And I love this quote. He said, with your eyesight, you don't even need to wear glasses.
I love it. I love it. I think I just told you one of the posts I just had this last week. I show my old driver's license and it shows restriction A because I've been wearing glasses since I got my first car and realized that I was blind as a bat and couldn't see past the odometer. I'd have to park the car, get out, walk up to a street sign, write it down on a piece of paper, get back in my car, go to the next block, read the sign, get back in the car. And so I went and got my eyes checked and I had horrible eyesight. That explains all the headaches. That explains, having to sit in the front of the classroom all the time and, get called on way too much when you sit in the front of the classroom. And now this last year, I've had 2 20/20 vision checkups. And I actually asked them for the prescription slip this time, took it to the DMV because I turned 60 this Friday.
Yeah.
And so they make you get a new license physical. You can't just order a new one online. And so I went trotting into the DMV before my knee surgery with my little slip of paper. And of course, the DMV has to do their own exam. And with COVID, they do it differently. They used to have those machines that you put your eyes on and you see stuff far away and things in there. Well, because of COVID, they don't want people touching those machines or putting their face or eyes around.
Oh.
So they have one of those old-fashioned eye charts, and they have a piece of tape that's marked off specifically that they have to go stand on, hold the chart, cover up a line, and have you read that little tiny line that's, almost the bottom or on the bottom, wherever the 20/20 is. And I aced it. And she started laughing. She says, that doesn't happen very often with people your age. It's like, okay, you said the A word, Hey.
I know.
So I'm declaring that age 60 this week is going to be my new 25. I don't know. I mean, I feel better. If you knew me when I was in my 20s, you would have seen a morbidly obese, young mother, and I was sick all the time and, all kinds of stuff going on. And so to be able to feel this amazing and this healthy, just because we got rid of 3 things, no meat, no dairy, and no oil. And somebody asked me, the one that they like to argue about the most is the oil. Well, don't we have to have healthy oil? And I go, think of fly paper, all sticky and gooey, and the flies get stuck to it. Well, if you're eating oil, you're going to get sticky like fly paper. And same thing with the meat and stuff. It gets all sticky and gooey and polymerizes like plastic. And that's just inviting disease to attach itself and have a place to grow and food to eat while it's there, because that fat is going to become very acidic, and disease lives on acid or sugar. So you're feeding it like crazy just by inviting it to have that sticky oil goo going on inside of there. And I have been so pleased with how delicious meals taste now that I can actually have the flavor not saturated in oil, So that's been a shock. It really, really, really has. So one of the other things we noticed is with the knee surgery and the consequence of the anesthesia shutting down my bowels for this surgery, is quite horrible. But I ended up back in the emergency room and they did a CAT scan because my bowels stopped working for over 10 days. I don't even want to describe how miserable that was. But they did a CAT scan. And in that CAT scan, they not just got my bowel, but they got all my nifty neato organs that are in that same region. And when the report came back, and it's over there, I can't get to it in my wheelchair right now, but it was amazing to me that it showed that my liver was normal. And, I can't remember the exact words, but it meant that my liver was perfect. Now, when I'd had a CAT scan 2 or 3 years ago for another situation, it showed I had a fatty liver, So my fatty liver is gone. I mean, it was normal and clear. It even talked about the ducts and stuff. My gallbladder had also shown in the previous one that I had stones in my gallbladder. And my gallbladder report on the CAT scan was completely clear, void of any stones, calcifications, and this other list of stuff that they had there. And then it went through my spleen, it went through my adrenals, it went through everything, and everything was in normal condition. That to me is worth every bite of potatoes, rice, pasta, that I'm putting in my mouth. And who's going to complain about eating potatoes, rice, pasta? I mean, it is all the comfort foods you've ever wanted. And I was talking to Jeff Novak, the registered dietitian that works for the Dr. McDougall Medical Center. He's a big part of their program for their 10 and 12-day program. And I was messaging, texting him the other day, and we were talking about the fact that, my very first meal when I started this way, after researching the McDougall program for several months, because I thought, he must be out of his mind that he can think that I can lose weight and lower sugar and lower blood pressure by eating all this starch. Because I had it in my mind that all starches were the evil devil themselves, But now we know that cakes, cookies, puddings, pasta, not pastas, well, bad pastas, are, breads, and things like that, crackers, those are refined, and those do break down to a high glycemic index that is going to spike your sugar. But the slow resistant starches, like we cook our potatoes and put them in the fridge for a reason, to create a resistant starch that is slower digestion. So it enters into the glycemic, index a lot slower and lower. And all these things are so good. But my very first meal, you always remember your first, right? So my very first meal was mashed potatoes with broccoli, and I'd made a pepper gravy out of vegetable broth with a little cornstarch in there to thicken it up. And I remember thinking the whole time, I'm going to kill myself. I'm sitting here right now with a spoon, and I'm going to kill myself eating these potatoes. But I just kind of kept sticking with it, because every day I was watching another video and indoctrinating myself and just learning every little crumb I could get my hand on. And sure enough, the first 30 days I had dropped 17 pounds, and Dr. McDougall had my full undivided attention. So that has just been a phenomenal difference for me. Raul up here is my adopted dad. I love him so much. He saw me just recently, and he just kept saying, "You don't look like you. You don't look like you." So I love it when I run into people that haven't seen me for a while and they don't recognize me. That's like one of the best compliments you can have. So wait till he sees me next time, and I'm even smaller. So he doesn't live in town anymore, so he doesn't get to see me all the time. So, okay, so let's go back to, I want to find something. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to go over to your group page, because there's a particular little video that I want to show a little clip from. So if I go over here to, let me close this, get back over to Facebook in the groups. If you go to Facebook groups and you put in Esther's Nutritional Journey, you'll get to Esther's personal page. And I suggest that everybody join that. She does an excellent job. Every single day she's posting something about food and her and Ben's journey, and just incredible ideas and recipes and stuff. I'm really hoping y'all are going to get on sync and be on the same cooking, because it's exhausting to cook 2 meals a day. But let's see here. There's the one I'm looking for. Tell me what the keyword is. I want to look and find the one where you're wearing that giant cream colored dress on your back patio. And I thought, wow, how am I going to learn from this lady? She's still quite large. And I go, but her head's kind of small. And then you take the dress off right there in front of God and everybody. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to see this. What would be a tag word for that? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know. I usually go to them on YouTube.
Oh, is it on YouTube? Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. If you just type in Esther Lebeck Loveridge on YouTube, a lot of my videos come up.
Okay. Lebeck, there we go. All All right, so if you go to Esther Lebeck Loveridge videos, aha, right here. It's 1 minute and 13 seconds. Watch and be amazed. Tell me if you can hear this because I'm hoping my camera's going to pick this up. Can y'all hear sound right now?
I'm going to give you the body
Do you hear
you always
sound?
wanted. Let's go.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to skip that.
Here I am again. And this is what, July 28th. And we're
So we
in
can get the
middle of
volume up
week
here at all.
of having Woman's World magazine come out with my picture on the cover with Dr. Neil Bernard. And it's so exciting.
Okay,
And
let me
so
rewind that so
since
you can hear it
this,
because
here I
it
am
was
again.
too quiet.
Can I give you a tip? Can you click share screen again? And you said, see how you don't have to close you don't have to stop share, but click share more or whatever. And then click the two little boxes at the bottom left of your pop-up button.
Click
Dr.
the green one.
Click the share screen again, just because I'm trying to get you to optimize, click the optimize boxes.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, when you share videos, you should click both those boxes and a little share screen pop up. So
Thank you,
that'll
Kim. That's
Yeah.
valuable. Thank you. All right, perfect. All right, so we're gonna go back over here and see if we can hear her loud and clear.
Here I am again, and this is what, July 28th, and we're in the middle of the week of having Woman's World magazine come out with my picture on the cover with Dr. Neil Bernard. And it's so exciting. And so since this article was bragging about the fact that I've gone from a size 26 to a 6, I thought what better time to demonstrate it. So this is my size 26 dress. And as you can see, that was a few inches ago. And why I wore this to my son's wedding and wore a size 26, which was my largest ever, without going on a diet before his wedding, who knows? But anyway, I didn't. So I was wearing a 26. I don't even think I need to unzip it.
Woo! Look at that.
Size 6, that's the way it goes. So keep on doing what you're doing, be your best. And if any of you out there need a size 26 dress for an occasion, it's yours for the asking if you pay for the shipping. So contact me if you want a size 26. Beautiful dress worn one time. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Isn't that great? I just absolutely love that. So you've got other videos, obviously here, if we go back to the channel itself, it looks like you can subscribe while I'm here. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I want to see all of that. See, look at this before and after. If I go back there, look at the before and after of Esther in that video there, that still shot here. That's absolutely incredible. So proud of you, girl. So, okay, so let's go back here, stop share. Thanks for that little tip, Kim. That's valuable. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for anybody sharing videos and audio, just when that pop-up box, click those lower two check boxes. So,
Okay. I will
and you have to do it every time you start a new meeting. So it's kind of, and sometimes it's hard to remember.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. All right. So Ben, what are some health advantages that you've had in this change you've made?
Well, I've been pretty fortunate all my life. I really have never had any real problems. I mean, I had an appendicitis, but I don't credit that to anything. But, you know, I've been fortunate. I've never really been on a lot of medication, any medication, really.
Yeah. We had some bouts with cellulitis earlier, you know, but that was an infection that was, you know, you got that.
Yeah.
And you had kidney stones,
Yeah.
a few things like that.
So kidney stones comes from dairy largely. And
I know.
a lot of people don't understand or haven't realized that the appendix is the largest lymph node in your body. So if your largest lymph node has meet its max and is threatening to rupture, you have definitely put some stuff in your body that didn't belong there. So
Oh, there's no doubt about that. You know, the name of Esther's book is From Donuts to Potatoes.
oh yes. Okay, we can find that. That's on Amazon, right?
Yeah, and the reason that is Esther. I met Esther in my donut shop.
Did you? You
So-
had a donut shop?
I used to have donut shops here in town anyway. And so Esther was a customer at one time before we got together. And so that's where the name of her book came from.
That is amazing. So here's the book here. It's on Amazon. I just ordered the hardcover the other day. I was hoping it would be here, but we didn't get to the UPS store to pick it up yesterday. I was hoping to just show it to you live, but isn't that just adorable? The way she did the graphics on here and everything. But you can go in and get a little snippet of the book if you scroll down a little bit. I'm really excited to have it come in. And she dedicates it to her followers on her Facebook group, her Esther's health journey. And I guess it's a diary. Tell us a little bit about this. Is this a chronology of your adventure?
Yeah, I think in about 2018, I started writing a word for the day, and each morning a word comes to my mind, and then I kind of develop it into a little essay. And so pretty soon people in my journey started saying, Esther, you ought to write a book. You ought to write a book. And I said, why should I write a book when I give it to you every day free in Esther's Nutritional Journey? And you can save it if you want. And the more encouragement I got to write the book, I thought, well, then why don't I just go back to Facebook and recapture the 366 days of that year and put it in a book form. And Dr. McDougall was able to endorse my book, and Chef AJ, which was nice. And
Oh, yeah.
so that was the hardest part, was just doing the fast paced things, because I didn't even submit it to the publisher until January 14th. And it was in our hands on March 4th.
Wow.
I mean, that was just amazing how fast it actually got published. But of course, it was an accumulation of my words and stories, every day for the full year. And so I just put that together, and I've continued. I still do that. Now this is 2021, and I'm thinking about going back and capturing all my words from 2020 and doing a sequel.
Yeah.
But if I do that, what I want to do is, I also wrote a beginner's manual, because my book is more inspirational and motivation and helping people think about how they think about food and other things in their life. But I needed to have a how-to section. So one day I just sat down and I typed up Esther's, it's the Beginner's Guide. And that's published in my group, in Esther's Nutritional Journey. It's under the announcement section. So you're free to get that anywhere. And then also, because I'm such a fan of the Instant Pot, and as been mentioned, I cook so simply. My cookbook, my recipe book, is my list of cooking times for the Instant Pot, and that's about it.
I got
So on that list, if I do potatoes for 15 minutes, if I do rice, I do 3, 2, 22, 10. That means 3 cups of water, 2 cups of rice in the Instant Pot for 22 minutes and on warm for 10, and so it's just, I'm super, super simple for people who maybe don't enjoy spending time in the kitchen. Maybe they don't, maybe they've looked for recipes trying to replicate what they ate in the past, and maybe they're satisfied with them, maybe they're not. But for me, it was a real deliverance of food, not to be on the search for that perfect recipe ever again.
Mhm.
So when you look at, and then in my group, I also post pictures of everything that goes in my mouth. And recently I said, well, everything except for my foot. I do stick my foot in my mouth sometimes, but, and I think I really could now that I'm limber. So yeah, I post these pictures. And so when you look at my plates of food, you'll say, oh, that's beans. Oh, that's rice. Oh, that's a potato. Oh, that's mini peppers. Oh, that's fruit. I mean, you can identify what I'm eating by its simplicity.
Mhm.
And some people say, well, don't you use sauces, or don't you put this on your food? And recently I just said, I don't want to hurt their feelings.
That's great. That is great.
And there, for me, my food is enough as is. So I rarely put anything on it, because my taste buds, as they will, in 21 days, our taste buds adapt, and we end up being hungry and wanting the food we eat. So as long as we stay to Chef AJ's red line, and we eat fruits and vegetables and grains and beans, we will never gain our weight back.
Yeah.
It's only to the extent that we go to the right or the bottom of Jeff Novick's calorie density chart that you have to be concerned about it. And Dr. McDougall says, once you get to your goal weight, and maybe have to stay there 6 months before your weight is really stabilized, then you can start adding back, nuts and seeds and avocados and soy products. But until then, you know, for the maximum weight loss, which is what I followed, then I also omit those foods from my diet. And this morning I weighed in at 123, and I usually just try to stay 127, you know. So I do introduce some avocado now and little pumpkin seeds, and because I'm so stable, you know, I want to keep it up.
Dr. McDougall's quote, the fat you eat is the fat you wear, I think is just adorable. And if I was going to cheat on fats, it would definitely be with my love affair of avocados. And but if you watch Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's videos, the cardiovascular colleague of Dr. McDougall's, they're like best buds, you'll see that he will not tolerate that. If you're trying to prevent or reverse heart disease, he doesn't want any oil at all. And so he even does just very limited tofu and things like that because of the fat content, but trying to keep that down as far as that goes. And I thought it was unique. I saw a video that Chef AJ did where she was talking about people who were concerned about losing too much weight. We even asked Dr. McDougall about that during the morning coffee, they called it, the morning breakfast. Every morning during the 12-day program at 8 a.m., we'd have a one-on-one with Dr. McDougall and Mary and ask them any questions we wanted. And people were asking, you know, can you lose too much weight? I was concerned at the time. One of our group members had gotten down to 108. She's not with us today, but 108 is her perfect, still within her proper normal BMI. We're about the same height. And so the BMI, I think it was between 108 and 120, I think was the range. And so when I met one-on-one with Dr. Lim for the McDougall program, and he meets with you for like 45 minutes before the program even starts and goes over every detail. It takes like an hour and a half to fill out the questionnaire online before he sets his appointment with you. And I am also 5'4" 3/4", just under 5'5", and he set my goal weight at 120. Do you know I weighed 115 pounds in 5th grade? So I'm guessing that I weighed 120 in 6th grade when you're like 10 years old. And so the thought of that is not out of stretch, because after having 5 children, I was divorced. And when I met my husband and we got married, I was 124. So at 124 pounds when I got married after having 5 children, that 120 is a totally doable number for me. And so I'm just going to let it ride. But Chef AJ answers it very well when she says that your body will set at what it's supposed to, as long as you're feeding it nutrition and you're giving it the volume that it requires. You know, she's a volume eater. When she eats 2 of these big giant potatoes and an entire separate plate of greens, you know, broccoli mostly and stuff like that, Brussels sprouts, whatever she's got going on. And she's as bitty as they come. Have you seen the hilarious video of her doing the nose flute on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness. She's on the David Letterman show, not David Letterman.
Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson show. She's on the Johnny Carson show. She's in her 20s. She's got thunder thighs. She's wearing a jacket to hide the rolls on her back on. And she's playing a nose flute because she didn't want to stop chewing her bubble gum because she liked to do bubble gum contests. So she couldn't take her gum out of her mouth. So she learned that if she stuck her nose flute in her nostrils, she could make the tunes. So she's on the Johnny Carson show playing this nose flute. And then she does it upside down. And to be upside down, she had to have him hold her ankles over his desk, and her dress falls down. You've got these big fat, you know, legs, and she's got these crazy pair of underwear on, and she's upside down, blowing her flute and blowing a bubble of bubble gum out of her mouth. Absolutely hilarious to see her in her comedy years versus later. I want to hear, and I haven't heard exactly how it happened, but she became a chef at some point. And I don't know if that was after her health journey or what, but she is just a little itty bitty pile of collarbones. And I'm pleased to say that I'm seeing collarbones showing back up over here. So the little things that make us happy, collarbones, who knew? So it's just been a grand adventure for so many of us to get back on track and be healthy. And I know you have to get to another luncheon. Do you have any more minutes to share with us?
Yeah, we're okay.
You're okay?
I wanted to say too, I did not have to have my knees replaced.
Oh,
So I
isn't that
have,
amazing?
yeah.
My
And I did not have,
them.
and I did not have to have that eye surgery. And I
Yes,
am off all medications, even my thyroid. So that's amazing to me.
yes, yes. I'm now off the thyroid medicine and doing an herbal like kelp supplement now. If I'm eating more kelp and stuff. My husband was slated to do knee surgery. They told him he was bone on bone at the doctor's office. Well, I drug him into my chiropractor, and my chiropractor made one adjustment to his knee and showed him on the digital X-ray that his space was exactly where it was supposed to be. It was bone on bone
Wow.
because his knee had shifted. One chiropractic adjustment, and he had all the cushion he needed, and he's been fine ever since. So being lighter, and being able to walk around the open mall yesterday was phenomenal for him. Just getting out and doing the things he does. One of the things he does when he's working for our water company is he has to slide underneath people's sinks. Well, it's a whole lot easier when your belly's not rubbing that, pipe under the sink. We've been in some unique sinks where they've got a bar down the middle of it, and you got to weasel in that little space and get up underneath there. So much easier when you don't have a gut bigger than the undercarriage of those pipes to do that. So
Yeah.
he's wearing a very nice, are you still here, honey? Yeah. Come show him how tiny you look in your little shirt. So, but he's wearing a loose large, and he's always been a 2X kind of guy or more. And he gave all of his big clothes away, and he's down to these cute little tuck in, polo type shirts now. Do you got a polo on today? Yes, he does. Come show him how cute you are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, well, I've got more people on the call here now, but look at this. See, he's got his little
Yeah.
tiny little shirts on now. Here, do a little side view.
Right.
Show him how cute you are. Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Lemon trim. That's awesome. So it's been fun to be able to.
Narrower than her head.
That's a funny thing. Okay, so this is a normal piece of paper, right? When we got married, he was getting a certificate with the military, and I was holding the certificate, and my whole hips and body were smaller than the piece of paper I was holding in front of him for the certificate. And it was a normal size piece of paper, and I fit behind it. So that's actually kind of an inside joke that we have here about paper and stuff. So okay, he's got to head back to his day job. So bye, thank you. Mwah, love you. All right, bye, sweetie. But yes, so health advantages, mobility advantages. I'm sure you're traveling, as you saw with those pictures of you in India and Asia and stuff that have gone, I'm sure, so much more enjoyable when you're not worried about having to breathe when you're overweight.
Yeah, it's nice to climb steps and be able to go everywhere, Yeah, it's great. We have a trip planned in December. If it materializes, we'll see if that happens or not. But we've been kind of grounded for the last year and a half.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, we did the train last year and the year before. We do love our train travels. And even during COVID, we did train travel, but we made sure that we always had our own little cabin, and we would go in, and before we did anything, we'd like sanitize the whole room to our expectations and stuff like that. And the chef would come to the door and take our order and things like that. They've got a special right now, I saw on Facebook, $299 coach, but it's 10 legs. You can do 10 legs within a year or something like that, or 120 days to do 10 legs for $299. You could see the entire nation with 10 legs. So we did last year, our entire trip was only 11 trains. So I know you could do 10. So we went coast to coast, north to south. So anyways, well, let's get into the second part of our program here, and you're welcome to stay for as long as you can. And I just can't thank you enough for joining us today. But we're going to go around and talk real quick to the other people that are on the call. Let them tell us a little bit about them and their journey, and maybe they've got some questions for you if you have a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Raul, Dad, you're right there on the screen. You want to unmute and say something to our lovely friends here and ask any questions? You figure out how to unmute it? He might have stepped away. Let's go over here. Who's Samsung SM? That's the next one on my screen. Maybe I can go to this other view here real quick. Gallery view. Diane, I think you're the next one up for me.
Hello, everybody. Esther, I follow you on Facebook, and I really enjoy reading you every day.
Oh, thank you.
And I've been following, just met Dr. Rowe a few months ago, but I've been following AJ and most everybody for a long time, and I'm just finally getting with the program, so I feel pretty good right now. So I got some medical stuff. I want to get rid of the docs because I don't think they're working in my best interest. So
And it's her birthday today. I just have to keep saying
Happy
that.
birthday
thank
Happy
you.
birthday to you.
to
Yeah,
you.
that's
Happy
awesome.
birthday.
Thank you.
Ra, can you figure out how to unmute your microphone? There's a little, do you see a little microphone? You can tap it. If you tap your screen, a little microphone will pop up on the bottom, and then you can hit that little weird screen. Oh, did I lose him altogether? Oh, there you are. So if you tap it, there's a little red microphone with a line through it, and you can just tap that. There you go. Now you can talk. There you go. Now you can talk.
Yeah, I saw that. But it moved when I put my phone sideways so I can see the full size of your face there instead of just a little bitty box.
There you go. Maybe the bitty
Yeah,
box
so
makes
now
it
it's
itty bitty.
okay.
Maybe the bitty box makes it itty bitty. So, do you
So-
have any questions? I mean, do you have any questions? I mean, they've got the same issues they can help you with. They've got the same issues they can help you with.
No, I think it's
I
for
think
for
he
me,
has
it's-
a few devices connected.
I think we're getting an echo. How do we stop? I think we're getting an echo. How do we stop?
I think Raul has two devices.
I think Raul has two devices connected.
Do you have it on your
I have
computer
what?
too? Do you have it on your computer too?
I have it on my phone.
Just the phone? Just the phone?
Yeah, just a phone.
All right, ask him a question. I'll be quiet. Ask him a question. I'll be
Now I
quiet.
now I see somebody else here. Instead of you, there's someone else now. Wow.
So he's
Okay.
new. He's new to eating like this too.
He's new to eating like this too.
And he's been sending me some
And he's
hits on my
been sending me some
so then I
hits on my text,
screenshot him and
so
then
I
I send him over
screenshot
to
him and
you.
then I send him over to you.
Any questions for them before
Any
I
questions for them before I begin?
It's hard hearing you. I get it. It's I have to have you. I have to have a speaker because my hearing isn't that good. And maybe will this help my hearing?
That's what's causing
That's
it.
what's causing it.
Speaker is causing it.
Is causing it.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we can do. I'll
Well,
link
we
you up
can
to
do, I'll link
later
you
if
up
you have a
to
question for
later
her
if you have
then.
a question for her then.
All right.
Okay.
Love you.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.
Going over here to Canada. The next one on my screen is Carolyn. How's your week going? We're doing it backwards because we had Esther and Ben on earlier. You missed the first part of the lecture, but it'll be on the playback. You can watch it later, but she's written a book and met him in his donut shop. And I mean, there was just all kinds of fun that we've been sharing this morning. So tell us a little bit about your week and how it's going.
It's going okay. I started thinking about kind of preparing in advance. Like we have some family that's going to be coming up towards the end of the month. And I know usually when we get together, there's like pizza or different things like eating out or snacks or whatever. So I'm kind of thinking ahead, like what me and my daughter can have or should have on hand so that she doesn't feel left out, you know, if we're having pizza or something else like that. Like I know my sister-in-law has a birthday, so there'll probably be cake. So I'll probably make sure there's some kind of cake or something for us.
You're gonna have your donut maker by then. You can make some healthy, gluten-free,
Yeah, maybe.
plant-based sweet potato. I think that sweet potato waffle recipe that we do would work
Yeah.
perfectly for donuts. She won our grand prize last month, I guess. I think Diane was the month before. She won last month, and she picked this little tiny pink, I think it's 2 square waffle maker, and it has a plate that flips out and makes donuts. And we take a cooked sweet potato and we take oats and blend them up and cinnamon and stuff, and we mix it all together, and they make the most delightful waffles. And I think they would make a delightful donut.
Yeah.
Maybe you could take something like that. That would be fun for her to make and do.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
Okay, cool. All right. Are you having anything special for lunch today you want to share?
I just made some sort of wedge fries last night that I put in my lunch with some broccoli, and I had my preload soup. And yeah.
Nice. Yeah, she does a preload soup quite consistently lately. The last couple of months, she's been doing a preload soup, and it's basically just a vegetable soup. Sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it's chunky or something, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed it. That's great.
Mhm.
Okay, Lonnie, are you still up in Canada or are you in the States nowadays?
I'm in the States. Can you hear me?
She still has the Canadian accent though, Carolyn. So yes, we can hear
You can
you.
hear me? You can hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm Samsung, but I can't figure out how to put my name in that on that little square. So yeah, I'm here in the Seattle area, and I've been doing McDougall for about 14 years now. And I decided to take the program just as a thank you to John and Mary. And ever since it went online, it became a lot less expensive than going to Santa Rosa. And yeah, I'm hanging in there, eating my oatmeal, and whatever other starch comes my way.
I did
And
not realize you'd been doing this for 14 years.
yeah.
That's amazing. Did you have a lot of health issues before when you started it?
I had a health problem, and I was looking for a way to lose a little bit of weight, and also actually I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2004, and so in 2007 I did some searching on the internet, and first found Dr. Furman. I was fine, except there wasn't enough to eat on Dr. I found I was always hungry, so I was glad to run into John and Mary's, Dr. McDougall and Mary's program, and I
Did I lose you? Oh, you just went mute.
She accidentally muted.
I'm back again. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back now. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think they're real healers in the medical field. There aren't, per capita, there aren't a lot of them healers in the medical field, especially today with the medical industrial complex. I feel really grateful that I found their program, and like I said, I taught myself their program 14 years ago when I found them on the web, and there are a lot of people who look at me sideways, but I just keep on keeping on.
That's wonderful. And she just took the program in May. Is that when you finished?
In April. In April. Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, the program used to be over $5,000, and now it's $14.95 to take it online, and it's 12 days instead of 10. And they are actually saying that they're having better results because you're home cooking your own breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and reporting your weight and your blood sugar and your blood pressures and stuff every day. And so if there's any glitches, you can catch it right away. And versus when people were going to the actual program in-house at the McDougall Medical Center in Santa Rosa, the food was provided buffet style. You didn't have to think about anything. You just had to fill up your plate and eat 24/7 if you wanted. And then people were going home back to their normal kitchen and their normal stashes of garbage food. And it was very hard for them to get the momentum once they got back home again. So this has been really a phenomenal opportunity for them to do that. So, well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And congratulations on 14 years of maintaining that kind of a healthy, inspiring lifestyle. That's wonderful. I did not know that.
Well, one of the things is you really, people say this a lot, and I really believe this. You have to know your why. I never want to be in another oncologist's office in my life. So, this is what.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear you completely. That's the one.
After hearing your story, I understand too.
Been there. Yep. Kim, tell us about what you're eating today and how your weekend journey's gone.
I'm eating whole food plant-based since mid-December. Did the McDougall program in January 2021, and with full skepticism that wouldn't be something I continued. Just wanted to find out if there was an improvement in motivation and energy level. And I am still whole food plant-based and really, really impressed with the results. Really looking for energy level and mental support. And I have all of those from really adopting a healthier, satisfying diet, or diet. I don't even like to call it diet. A healthy and satisfying way of eating potatoes and oatmeal, and all the foods we can eat are my favorites, and it's just, it fits really well. So
Well, and I like how you said earlier today that you tell people you're not on a diet, you are whole food plant-based. And that's what Dr. McDougall was telling us in January too. He prefers us to say we're whole food plant-based, no oil eaters. And that, because if we said that we were vegan, that immediately puts in the mind that we're doing this only for like animal rights or primarily for animal rights, which is a good thing as well. But there are so many vegan foods out there that are toxic, absolute garbage in a wrapper. And we call that a junk food vegan. And I was a junk food vegan for a long time. And that's when I started having problems with the eyes again, because there's so much fat in there and so many additives and things they have to do to those soybeans to make them look like tofurkey and whatever else they're doing to them, you know? And so there's a lot of things out there, entire sections in the freezer section and the produce section dedicated to the vegan lifestyle, but none of it's healthy. And so you can make bacon by just at home shredding carrots and marinating them in a little bit of soy sauce and a little liquid smoke, and then putting them on the dry pan and crisping them up a little bit. And I swear you think you're eating bacon because you've got the flavoring, but you're eating carrots that have been seasoned with a little bit of, you know, gluten-free soy sauce or aminos or something, and a little couple of drops of liquid smoke, you know, and it's that easy. So, well, thank you for sharing that. Maxwell, I know you don't have a camera on at the clinic there today because I stole it. It's sitting on the desk next to this other one. But can you hear me at all if you can?
I can, yes.
Oh, cool beans. I want you to do something for me. I'm going to let you share your screen. I'm going to give you permission. I want you to walk us through your blood from 2019. And then when we did it again and it was all spiky because you were doing everything right except you were incorporating a bunch of just high sugar juices. Okay. And then what it looked like after you stopped that. Can you do that for me?
Yes.
So how do I let you share?
Share screen, then the arrow.
Oh, the arrow next to this, and I can say, okay, there we go. Okay, so can you control it now?
Yes.
Y'all are going to want to see this. This is absolutely amazing. I'm going to make it a different view so he takes up the whole screen. But this is Max's blood eating this way before he was eating this way, and during, and he was just still making one slight mistake that people on this program think they can make routinely. And you'll see why that's not a good idea. So if we go over here to, so how do we do speaker view? Oops, no, that's not it. Hold on. I messed up. Okay, here we go. Side by side speaker. Okay, Max, tell us what we're looking at. Is this the 2019?
This is oh, my bad. I didn't realize you wanted 2019.
Yeah, go back to your first one.
Yeah, this one. Okay, my bad. Let me find.
That dry blood is not looking so good there, that's for sure. There we go.
Yeah, here we go. Okay.
So Max is my brainchild assistant. He started working for me when he was still 15. He hadn't turned 16 yet. He's like a real live Doogie Howser. So he is actually only 17 and he graduates this year with a bachelor's degree in kinesiology. So kudos to Max. But he's been a godsend for me this year, helping me in the clinic, but he also runs my lab. So I've been able to teach him how to do the microscopic blood. He does all the chemical analysis of the urine. And so walk us through what you got there, Max.
Okay, so back in 2019, I was doing a lot of weightlifting and using a lot of protein powder, and it reflects very poorly here on my blood imaging. You can see the linkage here in the blood cells, and
that's
Dr. Rowe.
from excess of protein. We call that rouleau, which is excessive protein, causing the negative polarity of the cells to basically burn off. And to survive, they have to attach to each other to survive. So he's only got one freestanding one, and it's got a shadow behind it. So that's not a good thing. So.
And I believe this right here is a white blood cell, correct?
It is, but the other white, the little 3 dots above in the center right there, that's yeast, as is some of the other white that you're seeing up in the top left at like 11 o'clock and over at 2 o'clock on the right, kind of hanging out by the cells. Okay, and then you've got some brownish crystals there, blackish crystals, which is just pieces of floating meat. They haven't even broken down far enough. That's just going to be like meat sitting on your counter that's going to rot and decay. And that, because your blood becomes your tissue and organs and pumps through your heart, brain, liver, and kidneys and every other important part of your body from head to toe once every 3 minutes. Those little fragments are going to get stuck somewhere and rot and decay. That does not sound like any fun at all. Show us a couple more from 2019. Just kind of fan through them a little bit.
Yeah, this is about the same thing, just different angle. There's the yeast, meat, white blood cell, rouleau.
Yep.
More of it.
Through that.
I was also not drinking a lot of water at this time. I was didn't really have anything to. I'll show you guys in these next ones. You can see it once you drink the water. It's a really heavy dilution. With the alkaline water, it balances everything extremely well. So without drinking any water and high protein intake, there was nothing to buffer it, and it was just a ton of protein linkage right here.
His white blood cell was working though. See how his white blood cell's kind of pushing through there in the center of the screen as he goes through? So it was active. They're like little rover vacuum cleaners that can go through and clean and scrub. And so that one's working. If you notice, nothing else on the screen was moving. If he was properly hydrated, it would have been floating upwards on the screen. But the only thing that was moving was the maneuverability of that white blood cell going to clean up some of the toxins in his blood. So, okay, go ahead and flip through and let us see some of your, just go through fast and just go click, 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 and we'll get to the end and see some of the dry samples while you're there. Just go, yeah, that's good. Just go through it like that. But see, none of this is normal blood, and none of those ones that are stuck together can actually get in the capillaries. We talked earlier about, you know, the arteries being wide like a tree trunk and veins being like a branch, but then the little tiny twigs are like your capillaries, and only one blood cell can fit through at a time. Do you want to describe what that mess is?
You're probably better at this one.
Okay. So those polymerized protein petals there in the center, it's basically a stutter. That's like 2 different samples that when he tapped his finger down, it kind of stuttered. But if you look at them individually, it's showing that his reproductive organs were having some issues in both of those. And you'll see that there is a singular cell. If it was his colon, there would be multiple of those white polymerized protein pockets. But because you see in both of them, there's like a little stutter next to it, like there's a little baby one, like a little moon attached to both of them. That means that his reproductive organ is definitely in, it'd be like his prostate and his other reproductive organs. So eating all that extra protein really mucks things up, if you can imagine that scenario. So let's go ahead and switch over to where we did it earlier this year. And you were doing so good. He was eating pristinely. However, what was the problem, Max?
I was, again, kind of going back to the dilution. I was drinking a lot of juice. I'd prefer it to soda. One because, you know, it sounds healthier and everything. But two, it just tastes better, but it's extremely sugar, dense in sugar. And without that alkaline water buffer, it was a very heavy toll on the blood. And you can see that with the spikes on these blood cells where the sugar is crystallizing. And what is this again, Dr. Rowe?
Protein, that's just pieces of meat floating through your blood. And that one is actually a little bit yellow and sharp, but that looks like a little bit of dairy. And it might even be like a dairy created uric acid crystal, because it looks like a little shard of glass, just a small one.
Damn.
But something else is unique on here. Do you see the really tiny ones down there about 5 o'clock on the right? The other direction, right to the left, 3 over, left, right there. Look how tiny that is compared to the other cells. That's what's called a microcyte. That's also caused by overacidification in the blood. And you see the little rays of spikes on there? That's caused from radiation. I'll see that in people that have done chemo and radiation. They look like little sun rays on all their little cells. So this means that Max was getting too much exposure to either a cell phone or a computer or some other microwave maybe that was radiating his food and causing that ray, those little teeny fine lines on the, I don't know if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse right here where they look like little sun rays coming off of them? And then he's got all these little undigested protein spots in the middle, those little black ones. But go up to the ones that you referred to with having spikes. Now this is funny. Where have you heard the word spike in the past year and a half? So when they show pictures of these spike proteins on the news, they're usually showing a cartoon illustration. I've been videoing and filming, excuse me, spiky type blood cells for over 12 years now, since the microscope was first invented by the Hans brothers back in the 1700s or 1600s or whatever it was. I don't have the exact date memorized. It was a long time ago, hundreds of years ago. And they've been studying blood. We've been able to observe this type of a formation on blood cells. And that is indicative of somebody who has either a highly acidic diet or a highly sugar diet. In fact, predominantly, it's usually somebody that's over dietarily intaking sugar. And we see that quite often. And some you'll see, they look like little bottle caps right there in the center of the screen. They got little scallops around the outside edge. That's the beginning phrases. And then up in the top there around 11 o'clock, you'll see some of the actual, like, looks like little zits or spikes on the actual cell itself. Okay, go ahead and flip through that so you can see how bad it got. Just go quickly on that one. There's got parasites. Oh, show them a couple of those parasites inside of there. Those are fun. So there's parasites in there. There's parasites in the one there. There's the one straight in the center that looks like a little up right there. Yes, those little ones right there. Those are parasites. They will actually consume the cell and move on to another one. It's actually kind of fascinating to watch, but horrifying at the same time. All right, keep going. That's probably his best looking screen we've seen so far, but they're still misshaped and they're not flowing. He's not getting the hydrational flow. Keep going.
It looks like just a ring.
Yeah, that one's just gotten bigger. It's just one of those little parasites that's almost done consuming it. It started out about like that size and it just kept growing. Keep going. That looks pretty good there. Okay, so now this is his dry blood sample. Now here's an issue that he has. Notice the little lines look like spokes on the wheels there. That is showing that he's overcalcification or minerals in his blood, which means that his diet is so acidic that the body's having to give up minerals from his bones and organs to buffer that. And these little cracks will show up in people that are overly acidic and the body's trying to buffer, or it'll show up in people that are taking hands full of supplements and it's too much vitamin C, too much calcium, or whatever it is that they're taking, too much of it is getting in their blood and it presents itself in the dry blood like this. We do the dry blood analysis comparison to be able to show people how their tissue and organs are forming. And you'll notice he's got some little asterisks down towards 7 and 8 o'clock at night. Those little black fibrin strands have formed kind of an asterisk shape, like a shift 8 on your computer. And that is showing that his liver is under a great deal of stress. And that could have also come from the fact that he was doing all those protein shakes, and all those protein shakes were overtaxing his liver. And my recommendation is that they do no more than 9 to 10 grams of protein at a time. And if you're just eating your green vegetables, your broccoli and your spinach and your kale, and eating your leafy greens and stuff, you're going to get more than enough protein. You do not need to supplement. And most of the supplements start at like 24 to 30 grams of protein in just a single scoop. So you'd only want to, if you were having to do that for whatever crazy reason, you'd only want to use like a third of the scoop. So, okay, keep going. All right, now switch over to your current blood, your most recent blood.
This was 2 weeks later after I started drinking the gallon of water daily and stopped drinking juice.
Stop drinking the juice and look at this beautiful blood. Span through there. There's a little blue crystal on that left. If you go back, that little blue one that we're seeing, that little round ball, that's an environmental crystal. Not sure what may have caused it. Probably something that he inhaled or something had gotten in there. He might have been around a car fumes, working on his car or something like that, but it's an environmental marker. Go to the next one. Now that is what we call a fibrous thallus. Now a fibrous thallus is a fancy way of saying city of garbage. It's like the giant garbage can, and that's where the white blood cells, after they've gone through your blood and like a little Pac-Man eating all the goodies and nasty things out of your blood, they will actually wiggle their way into one of these and become part of it. It's I tell people it's where white blood cells go to die, but they're just like a big, huge garbage can. The problem with them, this one is still relatively small, but sometimes I see them the whole screen wide. That's when I get a little bit concerned, because if they get too large without the body eliminating it through proper hydration to flush it along down the road, or elimination, respiration, breathing properly to eliminate some of the things that the body's trying to expel, it can actually form like a clot. It can get too big. All right, keep going. There's a little bottle cap there, but for the most part, they're all smooth. There's a couple there that are too large, and that are about center. And but for overall, they're pretty much the same size. There's one that looks a little oval at about 9 o'clock in the center. It's a little bit too big right there, and oval a little bit above where your cursor's at. Can you see my cursor?
Over here.
Yeah, right there. That one's oval. It shouldn't be that shape. And it might be oval because it's bashing into that other cell, but either way, it's too big. All right, keep going. You're almost done. Nice. Keep going. That would be protein right there. That's still a little fragment of protein. It takes 120 days to replace all of your bad blood cells with new ones based on your diet. So look at that. Much less cracking and the little spoke lines like we saw before. His reproductive organ markers not there in the center. Right there in zone 4, he's got a little bit of issue going on in the region of his lungs, knees, and breast area. So that would be something to observe and to monitor, but a lot more improvement from what he had before. It's got a little parasite hanging off on the left side there, and a little bit of cracking still on that one, and 2 to 3 little liver markers still on the bottom right, about 4 and 5 o'clock. Okay, a little yeast in the center. It's a little dark in the center, but so much more improved than what he had before. Just so proud of him. So thank you for sharing that with us, Max.
Yeah, of course.
That was awesome. So let me just cancel. Wait, so you cancel. Okay, so you canceled now. I don't need to put this one here. Okay, so any questions? We've gone about 23 minutes over, but oh my gosh, yes, go ahead, Diane.
I was wondering if the protein powder he was eating was plant protein or whey protein or something not plant.
I don't recall, but I do know it was. I could probably find it and answer that question next week, although I don't have it off the top of my head.
So even if it's plant-based protein or whey type protein, I've even seen egg white powder protein. Again, where a lot of the protein damage in the cells comes from is having more than your liver can process at a time. And so it needs to stay between 9 to 10 grams as a max. So Kim is asking if you're feeling differently now, Max.
Yes, I do compete on a competitive team for MMA, and I do
Mixed
feel a
martial
lot.
arts.
Yeah.
We
I
don't
do
we don't
feel,
speak kick butt. So MMA is mixed martial arts.
and it does take a lot of endurance. It takes a lot of stamina. And drinking the alkaline water, it does help incredibly. I'm able to, like, I would get, it's like the term is just getting gassed when you work out. You get gassed, and it's harder to continue on with the workout. But when you're fighting, you kind of have to continue fighting. So it's helpful to be able to have that stamina, and it 100% increased when I started eating through the program and hydrating more and with less sugar. Those are my three biggest things.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. It was really funny. We had a client that was doing a in-the-house office visit, and Max came flying in and said, "Show her my blood, show her my blood," because he was so proud of where it had been and where it had gone to in such a short period of time. And that's the thing that we're looking for. We're wanting to recognize that everything we eat and drink becomes part of the blood production, good, bad, or ugly. So if you think about eating the whole food, plant-based, no oil diet that we're programmed, lifestyle that we're eating, we're going to have beautiful blood. And there's no way of getting around it. The only way you would have damaged blood cells if you were incorporating those three things, the meat, the dairy, or the oil. And so it's a really, really phenomenal program for all levels of health. And since our blood is our tissues, our organs, everything from our hair to our toenails is made from our blood, even our eyelashes and lips. I mean, the color in our lips is based on our blood flow. You've ever noticed somebody who was very anemic and their lips were pale? Everything about us relies on what we're eating to make us. And every organ in our body has a lifespan. So if you think about your skin having a 7-day lifespan, and you get a new layer of skin every 7 days, and your liver every 7 months if it's healthy, or 14 to 21 months if you're not, your brain, your eyeballs every 2 years, every day old cells die off and every day new cells come in. So this is why I started eating this way, and the weight loss is the bonus side effect. So, all right, any other questions for us today? You guys have been wonderful. All right, and happy birthday again to Samantha. It's probably why she's not on. She's probably celebrating somewhere. Diane, we will do a delayed celebration. I will take you to lunch or something while we're there visiting you in Ohio. So we will be seeing you next month. So excited. All right, guys, until next time, same bat channel. We will see you next week at noon Central Time, and we're just so glad you could join us. We really appreciate you being here, and I'm just thrilled to death that we got my favorite pseudo dad in the world. I love you, Ra. Thank you for joining us today, and we will talk to y'all soon. Thanks, y'all. Put this on YouTube, and we'll upload it so you can watch the playback. All right, Val. Bye now.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe.
You bet.